Welcome back, everyone, to Drusilla's Dream. It's good to be with you again. As everyone knows by now, every week I write a blog and put it on my website in written format on the blog page and in video format on the video page. So I will be reading the blog for you today. Also, thought since St. Patrick's Day is coming up a few days after I, send out the newsletter this week, I decided to wear a little green. I am Irish, but on St. Patrick's Day, everybody's Irish. So let's begin. Welcome to our first session in our discussion and adventure into the journey of our souls. Near-death experiences in the not-so-distant past seem relatively rare, since there's little evidence of it, though tales of a bright light leading to another world are as old as time. When near-death experiences did happen in the past, the people who experienced them had a difficult time talking about them. For one reason, they thought no one would understand or believe them. For another, both then and now, they found it difficult to describe the afterlife in words because they felt that there were no words adequate that would accurately express what they saw, heard, and felt during their time there. Today, however, with the advances in technology and the ability of the medical community to bring people back from the brink of death, things have changed. There are countless people who have had rich, vibrant, and life-altering NDEs, and they are far more willing to talk about it. The consciousness of humanity has also evolved, and the term spirituality has become more inclusive of all organized religions, as well as people with no religion at all. People of different faiths, as well as those with different or non-existent belief systems, report remarkably similar experiences. There have also been members of the medical field who, before their own near-death experience, did not give much credence to the stories they heard over and over from patients who miraculously returned from death's door. Upon coming back from touching the world beyond this one, they had some incredulous stories to tell. One person I will be discussing is Dr. Eben Alexander, a neurosurgeon, who in 2008 journeyed into the afterlife during a weeks-long coma due to bacterial meningitis. Doctors told his family there was almost no chance of survival, and if he did survive, his brain was too irreparably damaged from the bacteria for him to return to a life anywhere near normal. He did survive, though, functioning brain and all, and now he shares his story with people all over the world. The other is Dr. Mary Neal, an orthopedic spine surgeon who in 1998 also made the journey to the other side after the kayak that she was in tumbled over a waterfall in a river in Chile, South America, and she became submerged in a whirlpool. She was underwater for more than 25 minutes. Yet, though deprived of oxygen for all that time, she was revived and lived to tell her amazing story. There are countless men, women, and children who have had near-death experiences that are fantastical and life-changing. Most of them encountered many things in common. For example, leaving their physical body and hovering above it, being able to view their bodies and everything that was going on while they lay unresponsive. They describe journeying through a tunnel of some sort toward a bright light. They report meeting other beings, such as loved ones who had crossed, or glorious beings of light, or angels. Many undergo a life review where they have an opportunity to examine the life they had lived so far, and they are assisted by higher beings to help them understand the consequences of their actions. Most have a feeling of non-judgment, sheer peace, unconditional love, and a feeling of never wanting to leave that beautiful place. But then obviously they learned that it was not their time and they must return. And finally, almost all who have had a near-death experience found it to be life-changing. I could talk about so many people I've read about that have had this remarkable sojourn. However, I chose Dr. Alexander and Dr. Neal because of their affiliation with medicine. The medical community in the past, including these two doctors, though they were happy that their patients experienced something so comforting, believed that it was the result of either a dying brain or drugs or anything really that might explain what happened from a scientific perspective. However, in Dr. Alexander's case, he was a neurosurgeon. Once he returned, he was able to review his own medical records and concluded that his pus-filled brain was completely non-functional at the time of his near-death journey. He concluded that consciousness exists outside the physical body and brain, and thus absolutely continues after physical death. Dr. Neal's experience also baffled the medical community, since surviving and returning to near perfect health after being deprived of oxygen for so long was considered near impossible. In addition, if one did survive, their brain also would most certainly be unable to function normally, if at all. One would most likely, if they survive, spend the rest of their lives in a vegetative state. Dr. Neal's miraculous survival and recovery changed the way she and other colleagues in her field viewed consciousness as well. It was hard to dismiss her experience because she could also view it through a scientific lens, and thus concluded that consciousness does indeed exist apart from the physical form. The experiences of Drs. Alexander and Neal are well documented and recounted in a very personal way in their books. Dr. Eben Alexander's book is called Proof of Heaven, and Dr. Neal's is To Heaven and Back. Both are riveting, extraordinary, and will change the way one looks at life and life after death in an incredibly positive way. Going into too much detail would be impossible for one blog post. I suggest you treat yourself to an amazing adventure and learn more of the remarkable detail by reading Dr. Alexander and Dr. Neal's books. I do, however, want to share examples from each of these two experiences, which are, in my opinion, proof of the survival of consciousness and the soul beyond the physical experience. Dr. Alexander talks about being accompanied on a journey through the afterlife by a woman he did not recognize. He called this person the woman on the butterfly wing. Once he recovered, he found out from his biological family that he had had a sister who passed away a few years previously. He'd never met her or seen pictures or photographs of her, but when shown a picture of her, he was stunned to find out that his deceased sister was the same woman who he met during his near-death experience. His sister was a beautiful woman with him on the wings of a butterfly as they traveled through the afterlife. I know how crazy that sounds, but it is an amazing recount that he tells about his experience. Dr. Neal's case, during her NDE, she was forewarned of the tragic death of her oldest son. She was not told when it would happen, but only that it would happen. For years after her ordeal, she told no one, not even her husband, about what she had learned. She decided to be hopeful and pray that it would not occur. 10 years later, just after finishing her memoir, her oldest son, Willie, was struck and killed by a distracted driver. Part of me feels it was rather cruel for her to have to carry such an ominous thought and such a terrible burden for so long. I can only conclude, though, that it was necessary for the validation of her experience and to provide irrefutable proof of life after death. There's so much more that we could talk about, but I'm afraid we must end here. I hope this blog has piqued your interest and you decide to further explore this fascinating topic. And I hope that in the future we can pick this up again and share some of our own stories or things that we've read or what our soul is telling us, if we, go into that part of us that knows the truth, and just share what we feel, what we know, what we hope for. And again, if you would go to the written blog on my website, after it, there is a comment section. So I'd love for you to leave a comment, or if you'd rather text me or email me, you can find my contact information on the contact page on my website. So thank you so much again for sharing your time with me. It really means so much to me. And happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. Namaste, everyone. Have a really, really great day.